Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is an entitled People Story. When I bought my homestead 15 years ago, it was like a dream come true. I finally had my own little slice of paradise. 10 acres of land with a big farmhouse, barn, and long winding driveway leading up to it all. The property was set back pretty far from the main road, which was exactly what I wanted. Privacy, peace, and quiet. The only potential downside was the small gated community right across the street, but they never caused any issues. I'd wave politely to folks driving in and out of the entrance, and occasionally chat with neighbors if I saw them out walking their dogs. Overall, perfectly pleasant. That all changed about 5 years ago when Chestnut Estates got themselves a homeowners association. I had heard horror stories about homeowner associations from friends, but naively hoped this one wouldn't be too bad. Oh, how wrong I was. It started slowly at first. Letters in my mailbox reminding me that my trash cans were visible from the road, and that was against their community rules. I shrugged it off, figuring it was an honest mistake since my house wasn't part of their association. But the letters kept coming along with new complaints. My fence needed repainting, my grass was too long, there were weeds in my flower beds. It was ridiculous. I had half a mind to march over there and set them straight, but I opted for a more civil approach instead. I went to one of their homeowner association meetings and politely explained that while I appreciated them trying to keep the neighborhood looking tidy, their rules did not apply to my property. I owned the land outright, had no homeowner association contract, and they had no jurisdiction over what I did or did not do on my property. I figured that would be the end of it. Again, I was wrong. A month later, I got a letter saying I was being fined $100 for having an inoperable car parked in my driveway. At this point, I'd had enough. I called the homeowner association president, Karen Smithfield, and told her in no uncertain terms that they had no right to harass me or try to impose fines on my private residence. She insisted the rules were meant to maintain neighborhood standards. I informed her my home was not part of her neighborhood. She didn't take too kindly to that. The very next day, I was working in my garage when I heard a vehicle coming up my driveway. I walked outside to see Karen driving slowly along in a little homeowner association patrol car, stopping to write on a clipboard whenever she spotted something on my property she deemed a violation. I stormed over and told her to get the hell off my land before I called the police. She just smiled smugly and kept writing her little citations, saying she had not only the right but the responsibility to enforce homeowner association rules, whether I was a member or not. At that point, I'd had more than enough. I snapped some photos of her trespassing for evidence and immediately called my lawyer. He drafted up a sternly worded cease and desist letter to the homeowner association board, clearly spelling out that they had absolutely no authority over my private property, and if they continued harassing me, I would pursue legal action. I hand-delivered the letter and copies of the photos to the homeowner association board members' homes that very evening. Karen's husband answered the door when I dropped hers off, and from the exasperated look on his face, I gathered this wasn't the first time she'd overstepped. Over the next few weeks, I held my breath waiting to see what their response would be. To my relief, the letters and fines stopped. I hoped I had finally gotten through to them that I would not tolerate their nonsense. Sadly, I let my guard down too soon. One Saturday afternoon, I had just stepped out of the shower when I heard yelling outside. I threw some clothes on and hurried to see what was going on. There, standing blocking my driveway, were two police officers and none other than Karen Smithfield. She was gesturing aggressively at my property while the cops stood by looking bemused. I called out to them, asking what this was about. Before they could respond, Karen was in my face yelling that I was breaking the law by ignoring homeowner association rules, and she was having me arrested. The officers separated us, and Karen proceeded to show them a folder full of forged notices citing me for violations like improper mailbox height, mismatched exterior paint colors, and unauthorized structures on my land. It was insane. I quickly fetched my lawyer's cease and desist letter and proved to the police that my property was not subject to the homeowner association's rules. After reviewing the letter and other documents I provided, showing I owned the land free and clear, they agreed Karen was clearly in the wrong. The cops let her know in no uncertain terms that she was harassing me, and if she kept it up, she'd be the one facing legal trouble. They advised me I could pursue a restraining order if needed. Karen stomped off in a huff, but not before shouting that this wasn't over. I'd finally had more than enough of her nonsense. The very next week, I took every dollar she'd tried to unjustly fine me over the years, nearly $5,000 worth, and I sued her smug ass for it in small claims court. Karen showed up dressed to the nines, clearly expecting to intimidate me and win. But I came prepared with an airtight case, complete with property records, a statement from my lawyer, copies of the fabricated citations, photos documenting her trespassing, and testimony from a neighbor who had witnessed her harassing me on multiple occasions. It was immensely satisfying watching Karen's jaw drop when the magistrate ruled fully in my favor and ordered her to pay me the full amount plus court fees. As an added bonus, I also got a 2-year restraining order against her. She ranted and raved outside the courthouse afterwards, screaming about how I was destroying property values, and she'd make sure everyone knew what a lousy neighbor I was. I just smiled and reminded her that she wasn't my neighbor, since my private oasis was a good half-mile down the road from her pretentious little development. Karen's reign of homeowner association tyranny came to an abrupt end, not long after that humiliating courtroom defeat. Fed up with her overbearing ways, the community voted her out and disbanded many of the stricter rules she'd put in place. These days, things are back to peaceful normalcy. No more fines, harassment, or power trips from entitled Karens. I keep to my little farmhouse paradise, and can rest easy knowing that road stays private. The homeowner association won't be patrolling where they don't belong ever again. The next one is a pro-revenge story. Last summer, I bought a house trailer and decided to rent it out. It needed some work, so I posted 2 months free rent for putting carpet down in the living room, hooking up the hot water heater, and putting in a toilet. Got a nice couple with a newborn willing to do it. Great. No lease, month to month, no security deposit, and the rent was $450 a month. So they did the work, so I didn't ask for rent for 2 months. Everything was fine. Side note, there are a few little state laws that come into play. If you don't pay rent for 3 consecutive months, you are considered a squatter, which means the landlord doesn't have to fix the property and can actually padlock it and deny you entry. If you're on house arrest and get formally evicted, you could be violated for it. Also, you can be formally evicted even if you have already moved out, so the landlord can get rent due. Also, even though there are eviction bans, if it happened before the ban, then it can still go through. Plus a few other conditions that still allow someone to be evicted. It's up to the judge, really. Fast forward 5 months and still no rent money. Yes, they had a newborn, and they were young and didn't have a lot of money, but the husband can spend $1,500 on a new engine for his project car. They can afford to go out to eat and spend money on electronics, but no rent. So after that 3rd month, I did nothing. The weather was turning cold. I didn't put in the furnace like I promised, and if they hadn't had a newborn, I would have padlocked the house. They were bragging about their tax refund. I gave them a shot to catch up, and they basically said that they knew their rights and were in a rent strike. Illegally, I might add. You will see later. COVID happened. Husband got laid off, so I gave them a break. When he went back to work, I asked for back rent again and was told to duck off. I finally had enough. I told them they had 14 days to get out, or I was doing a formal eviction, and seeing he was on house arrest, he knew what that meant. I honestly was trying to keep him from having to go back to jail and keep an eviction off of their record. I was trying to be nice and civvy. So they left, and I cut my losses until I checked the property. Everything they put in the removed. Everything they got free rent for was gone. I got pissed and filed for a formal eviction. It didn't go as they hoped. They said I didn't provide heat, so they went on a rent strike. Only they didn't file that with the courts or hold the money aside. They just thought they could stop paying rent. What they put into the trailer was less than the rent. The judge agreed with me that seeing they took everything I was due those 2 months' rent. And the biggest. He started slamming my character, so I said, well, you didn't tell me you were going to be going on house arrest when you rented the property. Before then, the judge looked bored. But he perked up. He asked them if that was true. They responded that it was, and he was ready to make his ruling. I received 15 months back rent at $450 a month and $2,000 in damages, because the way they removed the stuff, they damaged a lot of things. As for him, the judge said he had no choice but to turn the eviction over to his parole officer. Fast forward to this month. His house arrest was violated and he was arrested. They actually had the nerve to ask me to speak on his behalf. I didn't. Ruling was his remaining 6 months are now being spent in jail. They have a bad eviction on their record and they owe me money. Know the law before you play the game. The next one is a petty revenge story. As a teenager, I worked as a checker bagger for a large local grocery store chain. One busy Sunday, I was bagging at a register, and a regular Karen came through the line. She had a large order, and items started piling up quickly while I bagged. As I'm working, Karen is very carefully watching my every move with a scowl on her face. Her loaf of bread comes down, followed by a small bunch of bananas. The bananas barely touch the bread, which activates full Karen mode. OMG, you smooshed my bread. Oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am, although I don't see any damage. No, right there, it's ruined. You need to go back and get me a new loaf of bread right now. I happily reply, okay, sure thing, and walk away with the bread, leaving the rest of her order piling up. I slowly circled the store a few times, stopping to chit-chat with some coworkers. About 10 minutes later, I walk back up to the front of the store, without swapping out her bread for a new loaf. When I get back to the front, I see Karen standing behind the register with her things bagged up and waiting for me. Here you go, ma'am, I said with a smile as I handed her the exact same loaf of bread. That's much better, she muttered as she took the bread and put it in her basket. Had she not been so rude, or if the bread had actually been damaged, I would have swapped it out in about 30 seconds. The rest of my day was great, although I felt bad for the checker who had to bag the remainder of her order, because of course she couldn't touch it herself. The next one is a malicious compliance story. Merry late Christmas. My friends Adam and Belle have a story about one of their neighbors and how he managed to stuff a 5-pound bag of coal in a Karen's stocking this Christmas by using malicious compliance. This particular neighbor, Tim, and his wife, Frances, would go overboard on the outdoor decorations every Christmas. There'd be lights, garlands, wrought iron reindeer statues, snowflakes, candy canes, a 6-feet-tall Santa statue, a nativity set, etc., etc. It was its own brand of charm, according to the neighbors. Unfortunately, earlier this year, Frances suffered a massive stroke and passed away. Tim was devastated, especially as Christmas came closer and closer. Frances's favorite holiday was Christmas. Tim told the neighbors around Thanksgiving that he wasn't going to decorate the house that year. It was just too painful without Frances there. Everyone was sad, but they understood. Unfortunately, Karen didn't get this memo. It's the week or so after Thanksgiving, and people who haven't put up Christmas decorations are busy doing so. Adam and Belle were walking their dog, Domingo. Tim is out front of his house, getting the mail. Adam and Belle go up with Domingo to see Tim and say hello. While they're talking, a red minivan pulls into Tim's driveway. Karen steps out. Belle and Adam have never seen her before, but Tim recognizes her. Good morning, Karen. Yeah, hi. I was wondering if you were going to put up your Christmas decorations this year. Adam, Belle, and Tim look at each other, uncomfortable. I'm not going to put up any decorations this year, Tim said. And why not? Karen asked. Christmas reminds me of Frances. Well, what about my kids? They've been looking forward to seeing the house decorated. And the fact that you're pretty much the only house that isn't decorated makes them really sad. What would Frances want? Belle, Adam, and Tim just stared in astonishment. We've had a pandemic and we need the cheering. They've been looking forward to this every year. Tim is looking both angry and broken-hearted. Adam and Belle are ready to tell Karen to go stuff it, but Karen sets the trap for Tim's malicious compliance. We're going to be here after church on Christmas Eve, and this house better be decorated. And with that, Karen gets back into her minivan and drives off. Belle looks at Tim, and he's got a malicious smile on his face. She wants a decorated house. She's going to get a decorated house. The weeks pass, and Tim starts getting several packages delivered. He also starts putting things up in the yard, but they're covered with bed sheets so they look like those Halloween ghosts. He also starts putting lights on the house. There's more lights than usual, but he doesn't turn them on at night. Karen and her minivan don't show up, even though Adam and Belle had alerted everyone in the neighborhood about her. Christmas Eve rolls around. Adam and Belle are invited to Tim's house for dinner and to watch the movie Scrooged. They are also asked to BYOB. When they arrive, the curtains are drawn. Tim greets them with a big smile. They settle down and he details his plan, asking for their help. They're laughing at the end of it and eagerly agree. As they work, Belle notes that he's happier than they've seen him in a while. Tim says it's hopefully going to get even better. By this point, it's still just light enough that they can see what they're doing, but just dark enough that you can't see what's in the yard. They remove the bed sheets and laugh at all the decorations that have been set up. There's a nice dinner and watch the movie. Midway through the movie, Tim's alarm goes off on his cell phone. He pauses the movie, looks at Adam and Belle and says, "It's showtime." Everyone bundles up and they head to the sidewalk across the street. It's now pitch black and Tim's house still isn't lit up. There's the usual cars driving through the neighborhood, with Karen's red minivan being at the end of the line. Right on time, Tim says, taking a remote out of his coat pocket. They wait until the red minivan reaches the front. Tim presses the button. According to Belle, it was like the scene from Christmas Vacation when the Griswold's house turns on. There's red, white, and blue lights galore. The yard has eagle statues, stars, flags, banners, statues of liberty, etc. In the windows are lights that look like exploding fireworks. Tim grins and presses another button. All of a sudden, Star-Spangled Banner begins to belt out through several speakers placed throughout the yard. As Adam, Belle, and Tim are laughing as the minivan stops and parks, Karen gets out of the driver's seat and storms over to them. "What is that?" she shrieks, pointing to the house and looking about ready to blow a gasket. "It's my salute to all nations, but mostly America," Tim said. "Don't you like it?" "It's Christmas," Karen shouts. "I wanted you to decorate the house for Christmas." "You wanted a decorated house, Karen. You didn't say what holiday." With that, Karen flipped them off, got back in the minivan, and drove off. Tim turned off the music and lights, and they head back to Tim's house to finish Scrooged. Tim told Adam and Belle as they were leaving for the night, "I think I'm going to decorate my house like this every Christmas. Francis would have gotten a kick out of it." The next one is an entitled people story. Yesterday, I was on a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Phoenix, Arizona, which is in the US for y'all. I am disabled, back issue, doesn't really matter, but for context, that's why I am right up front. I am in the front row. Now, most airlines, the front row is first class, but this particular airline doesn't have seating arrangements. It's all about the number on your boarding pass. The first bin is for those of us in the front rows to put our purse or backpacks because we can't put them under the seat in front of us. This woman gets on pretty close to last and starts shoving her stuff on top of everyone else's things in the first bin, even though it's full. Mind you, there is plenty of room in the bin right behind the first one. Me. Entitled passenger, EP. Me. "Ma'am, you are shoving your purse into my backpack and my iPad is in there, as are my headphones. Could you please stop?" EP. "Well, you shouldn't have your stuff in there. Why aren't you holding them?" Me. "Because we aren't allowed to have them in our lap until after we take off. They already announced it. There is plenty of room for your purse and bag in the bin right behind you." EP. No, I don't want my bag way back there." Me. "It's literally right next to that one, and you wouldn't have your crap all over my backpack." EP. "Nope. Not moving it. Cue my pettiness. As soon as we took off, I made sure to get up and get my headphones." Me. "Here you go, ma'am. Can you hold your purse while I get my headphones?" Me. "Excuse me, ma'am. Can you hold your purse while I get my iPad?" Me. "Excuse me, ma'am. Can you hold your purse while I get my lip gloss?" Me. "Excuse me, ma'am. Can you hold your purse while I put my headphones away and get my earbuds?" I made about 10 trips getting into my backpack just to annoy her because she refused to be a decent person. She was giving me the stink eye after about the third time, but I didn't care. You don't care about being a decent person. I don't care about you having a nice flight. All of the passengers around me caught on to what I was doing pretty quickly and giggled every single time I unbuckled my seatbelt. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Hopefully this will teach this woman not to be so entitled, but I doubt it. The next one is an entitled parent story. My friend Kylan and I work in a woodworking company. It's a pretty great job for me, as I love hands-on activity and creating things. Kylan, however, has more of a difficult time with it all, which is completely fine as I help him with it. His mom and my mom aren't necessarily close, but both support me and him in our work. We're pretty young, so it helps with reassurance. But a few days before this incident, I started to realize that Kylan's mom never really acknowledged my work. Now that's not really a big deal to me as I don't require praise, but I do find it a bit weird as Kai's mom has apparently had a few racial incidents at her own work and I'm African. I was just assuming it's because she's afraid I'm a pretty built guy and 6'6". Fast forward to Tuesday and I'm working on a wooden chair that has taken me a few more attempts than wanted. The table saw I had been using to make clean cuts was pretty rusty from Kai using it constantly. I headed out to the department to get a replacement and was a bit annoyed with Kai not doing it himself. I came back and said, "Hey man, don't be afraid to change your equipment," and he rolled his eyes and just replied with a K, which just annoyed me even more. I just pushed past it and continued. But minutes later I heard Kai laughing and I looked up to find him laughing at my cutting. This made me extremely upset as I've been working almost day and night while he only works 9 hours. This along with his mom recently coming into shop and laughing along with him. This got to me and I walked over to Kai and told him a few words that I shouldn't have. He immediately got defensive and pushed me back and I was about to strike back when his mom instantly joined in with him and intentionally pushed me to the left where the saw was. Stupidly, I left it on. As soon as I was pushed back, the back of my hand was shoved right into the saw, causing a drizzle of blood to just gush everywhere, and for my palm to be basically split in half with a huge gap between my pinky and ring finger. The shock kicked in, and I instantly grabbed my hand and shouted for my mom who was on the other side of the shop. She immediately got an ambulance, and I was sent to the closest hospital. Kai has been texting me almost every day apologizing for his mother. The only text from her was her saying that this was my fault, and to not hurt her son. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Okay, lessons were learned. Usually you kind of get, because they want you to keep leasing a car, usually financing a car after, like financing the car that you lease, I don't think is usually a good deal, correct? I don't know. Who knows what I'm saying, honestly. Yeah, I might just buy a used, I'm probably just gonna buy a used car when I buy one next year. I mean, in 3 years. Every time Lauren gets fucked over, a demon gets his wings. Battery's fine, maybe. Oh, yeah, the fuel pump and all that. PBG, thank you for the alert. Ugh, so annoying. Oh my god, look how beautiful these eggs are. Thank you again, Holdens, for providing all of this for April. This is so exciting. This is a gnome. A cute little gnome. All right. Okay, so 5 gifted, 5 plus gifted for the A, or 5 gifted for the eggs, and then 10 on the gnomes, and then 20 for the 20 for the golden egg. I know, it looks, I don't like how naked it all looks. It's not that I had one on finance, it went back to them because of my medical condition. I can't drive one. Damn, are you serious, John? I'm sorry. Never lease a car unless you're rich. I thought... I feel like I've heard the opposite. I've heard that people always say only broke people lease cars. Hey Predator, how are you? Wait, Claire, what? Shocker. A brand new city with 3,800 base runs, damn, 40 grand? The Wi-Fi here is absolute trash. Damn, I hope I'm not, I hate when I freeze. I bet I'm freezing on really good, really beautiful frames. The way car values decrease, it's arguably good to lease. I've already like talked about this, but there's pros and cons to leasing. I mean, at least, I don't fucking know. Whatever makes you happy, just do that. Whatever makes you happy is, what you want to do, then do it. Lease, finance. If you want to buy a place, rent a place, just do whatever the fuck makes you happy. Who cares? We're all gonna die one day anyway. Whatever you want, just do it. Go and do it. If you want a new car every 3 years, do it. If you want to buy a car and have that for the rest of your life, do it. Do it. That was awesome. Can you try and say arguably? Arguably. Just do whatever makes you happy, everyone. Just do it. Do it. I feel so encouraged. If you want to book a vacation, do it. If you want to book a flight somewhere, do it. If you want to stay inside, do it. If you want to go on a fucking hike, do it. If you want to throw your money away, do it. If you want to save your money, do it. All right, I'm done. Just do it. Hey, Chris. Yeah, you got everything straight. No more lease talk. Yeah, for another 3 years. We're not talking about it for 3 years. I just had to give that, exactly, good dog. Do it. Hey, Jammy. Just do it like the Nike. Can I hire you for a Nike ad? Hell yeah. How did you work out? How did that work out for Shia? Gosh, where is he now? Some rando, thank you for the 13 months. Thank you, Holdens, for some rando's gift.
I wouldn't take her advice if I was you. Also, thanks to at Holdens for my sub gift.
No, you should take my advice and just do whatever makes you happy. Life is too short. Gonna go rob a bank now due to Laura's encouragement. Let me guess it. I want to marry the girl of my dreams and win this lawsuit for millions and live. I mean, if you want to, I mean, that's more like you're like dreaming. Well, like if you can dream it, you can do it. So that, amen. Mic drop. Add to the queue. Mic drop. If you can dream it, you can do it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Hey, 40. All it takes is you have to just put your mind to something and yeah. All right, enough of that. Oh, thank you, Bill, for making that command. All right, 1 second. What was I doing? Any more facts of life? Nah. Did you get the new CBD early? No. I financed a new car 2 weeks ago. My car is much better than the... Oh, that's awesome, Drew. Hell yeah. Okay. Do what you did with the boat and... No. That was a joke. Putting a boat on my wish list was a joke. Wait, more 15 minutes for what? Okay, Moochie, here's your golden egg. How many? Holden's hooked it up with a lot of golden eggs. We have a lot of inventory. So I laid these all myself too. Wait. Oh wait, I did have more batteries in there. Wait, should I do silver or black on the golden egg? Pray your heart, then go about your... True, good dog. It's not a giant vibrator. I thought you guys said this looks like a butt plug. Are the lights back up? No, I'm gonna change... I have so much to do. I have to replace that section of the batteries, so I didn't want to turn them on and have those die more, so they're like off cue. So I have to get this settled. Let me see, silver. Actually, I think black. Hey, Unstable. Thanks, David. If we are dragging during the summer, you can repurpose these golden eggs as butt plugs for a month. People often try to find themselves in the place where they lost themselves, but you have to realize that life is coming from and not at you. So true. So true, Casanova. So true. Hey, Circuit, welcome in. I'm doing well. How are you? All right. This is a nice song. This is Hey, Ani, how are you? Big. Hooch, save this 25 stream streak. Fuck. There we go. I didn't misspell it. It's chilly and rainy here. Oh, no. No, it's supposed to be rainy tomorrow here. All right. I spelled it right. Why are they banning people on there? I didn't hear anything about that. Should they just go back? I don't know why those aren't turning on. What were your plans to put something in? Wait, what were your plans to put something in